Question regarding application of computer vision in detection of cancer. So you used ResNet 50 for erythrocyte detection and YOLO for cancer detection. So how do you go about understanding which architecture to use for which image? Like how many number of layers are to be used?
So, when using like ResNet or something. So for the erythroblast detection specifically, we have taken the base model and then we have changed the last layer, which was the MLP layer, multi-perceptron layer, and then we uh, used classical ML models like SVM and KNN, and we got better results than what actually the base model is giving. So you can, so this is how, particularly now in computer vision, it's very hard to make a model from the scratch. So what people do is like they have, that's the part of the research that you have. How can we make, specifically when you are talking about application, how many layers you can change and how, so that's a ongoing process that you have to change the layers. You have to see, is it my mod for the particular data set, is my changing a layers or changing the different like loss functions or changing the optimizers helps or not. Then so for this like ResNet model or whatever model you are speaking about, most of the object detection and specification models are based on large number of data set, of common data set known as COCO data set or ImageNet data set. So what we do is something called a transfer learning, where uh, we feed our own data to the existing models that was trained on a different, like car, bus, and all, trees, common things. But when you're talking about healthcare, you have to be more specific, and for that you have to just tweak the models every time when you are feeding in new data. Yeah, that's the question. So that's a ongoing process of changing and doing.
Is that tweaking specific to data, or do you do it every time for a new data set? Like, uh, do you determine what changes you need to make based on accuracy that you get out of it, or
So like
whether
for the so data set is something that is, so for the erythroblast, which when I have worked on, it's a common blood minis data set. It's an open data set. It has 17,000 images, and it is very clean, crisper, crystal clear kind of an crystal clear kind of an data. So when the data is good, then you don't need to calibrate much. So these pre-existing models work fine. But when your data is not good, like but in the oral cancers, you can oral lesions don't have any uh, like doesn't have a distinct shape. Even if you have to distinguish between the colors, like your cheek is like mucosa is light pink, and you are having trying to differentiate between light pink and a dark red. So in those cases, we have to tweak the model every time we are trying to get a better accuracy. But for a clean and clear data, you don't need to do much. That's why we then we can focus on the less amount of data or something like that. And now a lot of models like few shot learning models, one shot learning models are coming that can work with a very limited data set. But yes, my data that I'm working on, my PhD thesis, is very challenging data set because it doesn't have a distinct shape and a distinct color, and that's how a biological data is actually. So you can have millions of parameters, and because we don't know how our health actually works, like so. Even somebody working on a drug discovery, there could be millions of different parameters that can affect the drug discovery and all. So it's not that easy like detecting and traffic light. That's where healthcare expertise comes to the field. Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, I think you can hear me. Hello.
I think yes,
You are
we can hear
audible.
you.
Thank you
Yes.
for the crisp talks. My question is for Deeptarup sir. You had
Yes. Yes.
mentioned that you have worked in neuroscience mostly. So I am a physics major at IIT Bombay. So I wanted to ask, I want to contribute in healthcare field. So do I need a professional career of medicine to contribute towards research in healthcare, or my physics degree would be helpful? Or I am in my final year of master's, so I would like to pursue a PhD in future. So I really want to know if I should do a PhD in physics, biophysics, or medicine or neuroscience. So I know it's a very broad question, but sorry.
Hi, Tripti. So it's not a broad, rather a very right question for this platform. I don't believe that right nowadays the way the research is moving, only a person from the having a healthcare background can resolve problems for healthcare. And I believe the last talk by Samrat actually helps us to understand that despite he's a mechanical engineer, he is resolving problems of healthcare. So and when we talk about neurosciences and brain research, I think understanding the impulse from the transferring from neuron to neuron is very important, and where physicists are playing a big role. At the same time, big projects from Google, IBM, and also different multinational MNCs are actually trying to understand the 86 billion neurons present in human brain. So it's like more than 80 billion neurons are present. Despite, I believe, if we go back to our ancient scriptures, we'll find that brain research is not something we have started very new. It has been started long back, but despite having an understanding, highly advanced equipments and technology, we hardly know about human brain. It is the most powerful and at the same time complicated organ of human body. So it is not only alone medical experts, biologists, or like the AI experts can able to help and understand this complex organ. So the you can understand the how much complicated these the organ will be, which can develop AI, which can develop all these strategies and workflows that we are today talking about. How much complicated it will be. It is having a huge data storage, spaces, processing power, everything what you can even think of. So it's not only a task of the health researchers or the healthcare expert, but I believe different domains, people from different domains have the opportunity to work in this particular area. And not only in regards to understanding the human brain, even there are many equipments and technologies that requires to understand the human brain. And for that, I think even your expertise will be really helpful. This is one of the reason that many institutes in USA have translational research areas and centers where different experts, different students from different fields can come and work and try to resolve a big problem working in their expert zone. I believe that IIT Bombay is one of the example in India that helps us to get a platform where we can a particular student from mechanical engineer, student from computer science department, a student from bioscience bioengineering, a student from machine learning, digital health can come together and work together to resolve a healthcare problem. So, Trupti, I believe that there is no barrier to a subject right now to resolve a problem in healthcare, and obviously there are hundreds of opportunities which you can resolve by your expert or your domain of expertise.
Thank you, sir. That answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Trupti.
Hello, am I
Hello.
audible?
Yes.
So, Ankit sir, I wanted to ask you this question. How has your background in computational biology and bioinformatics equipped you to leverage AI in your research?
Yeah. So the thing is that so now, as Deep mentioned, that there is no limitation or barrier to offer any student. So I was focused since I was mostly interested to do research and to know in the biological field. But as I progressed, I could understand that to understand the data and biological data, only understanding biology is not enough. So we need to have an understanding. And now, with the advent of this when the whole genome sequencing was performed, we can understand the amount of data generated, and the amount of data is generating each day. So the amount of data to have to get an idea and to understand, we need a lot of computational tools and lot of things which we cannot do on manually. So basically, also of course, the syllabus in whatever institutes or this thing in India as of now are there, where there are subjects like bioinformatics and those things. But what I found out that interesting is that getting the data and doing the wet lab thing is one part, but that I further extended it to understanding of those. So for that, I grew interest on understanding bioinformatics and other computational biology techniques, and that ultimately helped in a way that I showed in a gist that how we could narrow down a panel of markers from the data generated and can be used for further translational research. So that's why the multidisciplinary field and the platforms can help us in the translational aspect specifically. And so that way it helped me, and I am hopeful that it can be taken forward for different aspects which can be used in clinical settings. Yeah, thank you.
Hello, sir. I'm Yujishri. My question is to Deeptarup Biswas. That is it possible to transplant a woman's brain into a man's brain?
Hi, Diti. So I believe that this is, a very ambitious and futuristic area. I like working and seeing the research right now in today's world. I will not say anything is impossible, but right now I don't see there is a possibilities or there is any chances where it can be done so easily. Brain transplantation is something which is uh, is one of the most complicated organ transplantation. I don't see, if it is happening or if there is some, concepts or, some effort is happening also. I am very sure that will be in a very preliminary stage. At the same time, it will require a lot of equipments, lot of understanding of the human brain to actually execute this. But I will be, I have just one question to you. Don't you feel it will be very difficult for you to have a completely new memory and new data in your computer suddenly? uh, don't you feel it will be very difficult, like somebody's whole data and whole backup transfer to your laptop in a morning, and you are opening and you are finding everything very new?
Is it not possible to change the neurological condition of a person in such a way that their entire perspective can be like a woman or the way they think? I mean,
Yeah, so over here the question is more towards psychology understanding rather than changing the complete or transplanting the complete brain. If somebody has to understand the way of an individual or uh, characteristic of the individual, then even it will not require transplantation of the brain, because this is something very ambitious, I believe. But obviously, looking at the current healthcare advancement, I will not say anything is impossible. But obviously, this is very ambitious right now. Uh, uh,
being
but yeah,
being from
yes, please go ahead.
hello, being from the biological background, how do you start learning computational biology and also bioinformatics from the root? Like I'm from biotech, and it's I mean, have found interesting this computational biological, but how do you start it? Like,
So I think
from where do you start
I
it?
should I should acknowledge IIT Bombay for that. It gives a platform where, in a coffee table, you will find a biologist, a computational scientist, a person from digital health, a mechanical engineer, civil engineer, having a coffee together, and all of them starts talking about a little bit about their science, and it hits you with a motivation that you can really go forward and wants to learn, because you see that the expert opinion a particular digital computer scientist student is having to resolve a big data problem of a telecom data sets could also be utilized in a healthcare data sets. So from there I started, and from there I started understanding about the different kinds of area apart from the biology, and obviously the open to all classroom uh, strategies of IIT Bombay, where you can go and learn from any professors. That is something helps us to learn even machine learning and computer science areas from different professors of IIT Bombay, despite you are not from a computer science background. I believe that is something that helps us, and I believe that even Buddhadev, Samrat, Ankit, whoever you are seeing, are actually not only working in a particular expert area, they are working in translational area. Samrat, being a mechanical engineer, is going to OT to understand whether a particular transplant is happening properly or not. So this is the power of translational research, and I believe that I have got a very good platform in IIT Bombay and in my lab to blend the different areas and try to understand healthcare.
Is it true that we can use wave signals to understand the way the brain works, like gamma waves?
So there are many ways, brain communications are actually getting tracked, and I will not just only pick one of the examples for that, but there are many ways, and there is a big blue brain projects and brain projects are happening, which is getting funded by Google and IBM. If you're interested, just take a look. I believe that you will even get more perspectives apart from only wave based communication tracking.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And is there any small projects that being a student we can work? Small projects from
I think
the.
IIT Bombay is open to a lot of projects and interns. And as KCDH, I see that has taken tremendous lead in making or welcoming different students from different areas. Please do contact or communicate with the professor that you like, or the lab that you feel that will be right for you. I'm pretty sure that IIT Bombay always welcomes learners in the platform.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Hello. Am I audible?
I had a question. Am I audible?
Hello. I am having a question to Buddhadev regarding computer vision.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like as you mentioned, we have to train a model sometimes with low resource.
Yeah.
So, if my segmentation model is taking about 3,000 images to get trained, then what are some of the strategies that I can use to train same model with less number of images, about 200 or 300?
Depends upon what are you trying to segment, right? And what kind of data that you have. Like, is it
Let's
a
say,
grayscale images or a specific? Is your data set very crisp and clear? That last time
uh,
I'm also trying to say. So, what kind of images you can it if it did to get an accuracy of 90% or 95% for the test set, it doesn't need 3,000 images if your data is good. So
okay,
data, so getting a data on images is you need to have a good data. That's that's what it is. So can I know what kind of data? If you are so most of the open source data that people are working, especially on the Kaggle, and like there are a lot of platforms like MNIST dataset, and so or challenges that happen like in the Kegel. So in those kind of healthcare specifically, those data sets are very calibrated and they are published data sets, and those have a very good kind of images. But when you are curating data set from a particular hospital or from a rural setup, then that data set is bound to have lot of noise, lot of ambiguity in the data. So you need, then you need a good amount of data. Plus also it depends upon how many classes you are segmenting. If you are doing just yes or no kind of a two classes segmentation, then you may not need so much of data. But if you are having 3000 images and you are trying to classify between 30 classes, then per class you get very less amount of data, 100 or something. So imbalance could be there. In that case, your 200 will never work. Then you need a large amount of
let's
data.
say let's say I was segmenting a retina data set, retinal vein data set, and I was having 100 images. So at that
What
point
kind
of
of
time, my
image?
model retinal veins data set.
Okay.
So my model was not performing well. So but so at that point of time, what should be our strategy? Like I was
So
having only 150 images of the
so
retina. It was all
yeah.
clear
So the
images.
first thing you can do is to augment the data. So you can have a little bit of crop or something. In case your data is very small, means like 64 by 64 is your data size, means your images are very small. You can try something called generative AI. So generative AI is like WGANs, okay, WGAN or a DC GANs that will make a fake synthetic data set which is similar to the your original data set, but it is not completely similar. So it's so you can do that. So that's a kind of augmentation technique that can help you to get. And if still it is not working, then you can work something like few shot learning or one shot learning. So that can help you to at least, so first increase that data set. If it is a small your size, because WGANs doesn't work on large big images. Okay, so that's a very negative side of WGANs, GANs. So first
Yeah.
try to do augmentation, that is general augmentation, and then see the result. But be sure when you are augmenting images, be cautious about data leakage. So data leakage can affect your model too much. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
I think I answered your questions.
Samrat, I have a small, question or a curiosity after looking at the talk.
Yes, yes.
So I'm pretty sure that you must have seen cases where the mandible has been either partially or fully removed or has been surgically, removed for kind of oral cancers, right? And over there you have been using your transplants, right? So the major
Yes,
problem we
yes.
see in the oral cancer or any kind of cancer is the recurrence. Have you ever feel of adding uh, like sensors in your a transplant which can even detect the chances of or detect the or predict oral cancers from the saliva?
Not really, sir. Not really as of now. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
Because I know there
like you
are
said,
companies who are working in detecting kind of enamel caps of the teeth which can
hmm,
sense different markers like for example I know that even in India somebody has tried to develop a particular sensor from the sweat for the identification of the other tracking vitamin C. So in that way there are
hmm.
a lot of sensors are getting identified or getting developed which can detect even markers of the oral cancer. So as you are developing this transplants, which is getting directly, transplanted into the jaw and very much exposed to saliva 24 hours, right? So just a question or curiosity, just that whether you have ever thought of doing this part.
No, the implants basically which I am working on, the mandible implant, they are not in direct contact with the saliva. But
Okay.
surely the dental implants, they are in directly contact with the saliva. I mean, in those cases, the sensors which you are talking about, they can help detect the tumor or the cancers. But these are
Right.
these mandible implants, they are actually covered by the muscle mass. They are not in direct contact with the saliva.
Yeah, but as it is connected like very much close proximity with the muscle mass, if you even find small lumps, or which generally the first symptoms of any kind of tumors, which generally the has no symptoms, could also be tracked.
Mhm.
Like, could be ambitious, but I was just thinking that how it can
I
be.
mean,
Yeah.
this actually sounds interesting, uh, but there are revision cases wherein the tumor again comes in, and there are revision surgeries happening. So that's very common
Right.
in India.
Yeah. Yeah. Great work, Samrat.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
So Hussein, are there any further questions?
Hello.
Yes, I think somebody is asking.
Yes. My question is to Ankit sir. Uh, a small question. Actually, I'm from physics department. I have heard about that body become drug resistant when from some like TB, some external bacteria virus infection. But I have heard that cancer is mutation in our own cell. So, do you said about drug resistance? So means the drug we are given to cancer patients, and our body cells develop resistance and to that drugs. Are you getting my question?
Yeah, so in that, so if I have understood your question, that you were saying that in the cancer patients, where we said about the drug resistance, that
Mm,
whether the cancerous cells, so cancer cells become uh, tend to means do not respond to that drugs. So
mm,
the receptors or that certain aspects with the so for example, if you are trying to inhibit the DNA replication, since the cancer cells grows fast and you are damaging the DNA of the growing cells by using certain drugs, and then the cancer cells will develop a machinery that can repair the DNA damage very quickly. So this is one way that the cancer cells can develop resistance, or other way is that the cancer cells will uptake that drug and will release through the receptors. So that can also be one mechanism. This can be the mechanisms where the cancer cells, not the body, our body cells, but rather the cancer cells, I would say, that can understand that how these drugs work and try to inhibit those its mechanism so that it can grow in the body. So have I addressed your question?
Yes, yes, got it. Thank you.
Uh, if there are any other further questions from the audience, you may ask. Otherwise, I'd like to just ask one last general question to all of you. Your research is in very varied domains, and you are leveraging the use of AI in your research in different manners. So, what are the ethical concerns that come with usage of AI, specifically in the healthcare domain?
Okay. So let me start. So the first thing is that there is a huge concern regarding the ethical domains when you are talking about really healthcare data. The most, I think, sensitive data that we deal with, right? A particular data set have a almost all the information of a particular individuals. Despite there is a lot of cyber securities and encryptions that are happening to make sure the data remain protective, but when you are giving access to a particular model or particular AI companies or anybody to a healthcare data, then it should be we should be highly very sure that the data is in safe hands. That is the first thing. That is one of the reason why, despite there is a lot of things are happening in the AI revolution. Still, more like a very minimal is actually getting translated to the clinical research or clinical implementation. At the same time, which I believe, working, in this area is that, first of all, the AI hype should be converted into hope. That is the first thing. Because if it remains as a craze and trend, then it will become difficult. It will not resolve problem, rather end up with problems. If AI and ML could be given a right direction, it can resolve tremendous problems in healthcare, not only in prediction of disease rather than prevention. At the same time, new therapeutics, lot of areas, like robotics, robotic arm surgeries, a lot of things, because it requires a lot of precision. But at the same times, we have to understand that it is not something that is a trend. Okay, it should be taken as that it can help, and it can resolve big healthcare problems. That is the most important thing. And once you understand that it is hope, then obviously safety, protection, and responsibility comes into play. And once responsibility comes into play, then obviously the data will remain protected. The data ethics and everything will be, protected properly. As Buddhadev mentioned, that data is gold right now. So the way you protect the gold, so you have to protect the data. So that is something very, very important, when you are talking about any data, and absolutely healthcare data. And I will end my perspective in a way that if we really want to take AI for future, we have to understand two things. First is that the taboo of understanding AI only for the engineers and computer science students, or technical backgrounds, need to be expanded. It cannot happen that only the technical background people, engineers, are knowing about AI. Absolutely, they will have a lot of idea, a lot of technical expertise, but at the same times, a surgeon will know better about the patient and patient condition. A biologist will know about the results that we are getting from a complicated data in regards to biological interpretation. So everybody has to first make sure that everybody should learn about the concepts of AI. Government of India should come up with different aspects and different strategies to make sure that AI should be introductory course or something like that should be introduced, to make sure that everybody is having at least a basic idea of AI. It should not become a trend, craze, or hype to students. Rather, it should really become a implication, application, understanding, and a hope that can really help the world to understand, or shape the world, and decrease the healthcare burden. So with that, I will end my perspective, and I will give platform to others.
Okay, so without any further delay, if there are no questions, we are surely towards the end of the session. Tripti, you would like to ask something?
Yeah, I have two follow-up questions for Deeptarup sir. Sir, as you said, MNCs are funding translational research. So my first question is, I have done a few high energy physics computational data analysis projects, but I didn't like coding much. So, A, how much coding is required in neuroscience and to get into this field? And second question is, will I need a PhD before getting into the translational interdisciplinary research, or I can get a job? Sorry, I don't know how to frame
Yeah.
this
So
better.
Trupti, it's like the second. I will take the second questions. I think, yeah, Buddhadev would like to, I think, give some answers maybe. Okay. So
I'd like to answer the question how much coding is needed. So right now, if you don't know much coding, it's AI is still there, ChatGPT is there. You need to understand what's behind the code rather than how to code. So are you able to tweak the optimize the code for yourself or not? So coding right now is not a very necessary thing. And when I started my PhD, I was not very good into coding, and now I'm literally starting coding. So coding is necessary for all biologists today. That you should know coding, but yeah, it should not. You don't have to be a drastic coder like hackathon coder for coming into the research.
Yeah,
Please
so
carry on.
to continue with that, I believe that Trupti, like I cannot give you a correct answer to you regarding like whether you should do PhD or you should not do PhD to enter into the regarding the career perspective. But I can tell you even BTech students works with big companies to make sure they resolve problems. So it's all about the knowledge that you cater in a particular amount of time. There is no limit to learn new things. So even working anywhere you can learn new things. That is completely up to you. And to continue what Buddhadev tell about coding, I believe that if I just hold this pen, I can fold with 2 finger, 3 finger, even with a forceps, and even with big complicated robotics arms. It all requires that to resolve the problem that I want to hold this pen, right? So whatever you do, whatever you want to do to make sure that you hold this particular pain or resolve the problem, that is something you should be thinking more about. uh, Doing coding, doing some developing some big AI models, all these things are a path to make sure you resolve the problem. So whatever the way you do, that is something cannot be, I can tell that you have to be a very good coder. So, and there is no perfect terminology that what is a very good coder is. Even somebody who is working a lot of like writing a lot of code can be can need to learn a lot of things, because there are so many advancements are happening every day. So it's all about what problems you want to resolve. In rather to that, if you have the target that you want to reach to there, doesn't matter you are booking a cab, you are booking a bus, or whatever the way you are going, the importance is that you reach to the target.
Thank you, Buddhadev and Deeptarup, sir. And thank you to all speakers. I really enjoyed the talk.
Yeah, thank you so much. So Hussein, whether other speakers are also
Okay.
giving their perspective or regarding the questions which were asked generally?
Yes, the question about the ethics. So, like Deep sir had given his perspective. So, like moving on to Buddhadev sir, like your work is also related to healthcare, specifically the detection of oral cancer. So, like, uh, what role does data privacy and ethics play in your work?
So, to answer this question, there are two kinds of ethics: your research ethics and institutional ethics. When you are talking about human data, so it's not very easy to get an ethical permission from the institute itself. So, you have to take an ethics committee permission, and the hospital you are collaborating also have to have a ethics committee permission, and you have to give all the details of how you are taking and collecting the data. Is it, and any chances of mismatch of ethics in that case will affect your research or affect the project. So when you are talking about human, even if you are taking a verbal uh, statistical forms, you see a lot of forms floating on the internet, please give your data on this. So you cannot do that in IITB or any premier institution. You have to take ethical uh, permission before you float a form which involves healthcare data or somebody's personal information. Regarding that, and your ethics in research is also very important, because we see a lot of papers that when we try to reproduce those results which they are claiming of 99% of accuracy, we didn't find such kind of accuracy with so less number of images. So these are this forced kind of results also affect when you are trying to implement those models into a if your model fails in a rural setup, that can cost a life, right? That can cost somebody's life, or that can affect that person's prognosis. So we have to be more ethical than taking the data. So from a research perspective, who is working on healthcare should be much more ethical, and we have to think about data privacy in every time we are working with somebody's personal data. Yeah. And thank you, BioX Club, for inviting me for the talk, and thank you, Hussein, for organizing this wonderful session. And I'd like to thank Ankit, Deeptarup, Dr. Deeptarup, and Samrat for giving an insights on AI-driven technologies. That's like I'm going to conclude, and I think Ankit and Samrat may have to say something. Yeah.
Yeah, no, to answer on that question, I think Deep and Buddha has given much uh, perspective to that regarding the ethics question. So I just would like to add only a certain part that, like we had already mentioned, that data is something we should protect, and we know that everything we are doing. So this is also whatever we are. Everything is now being recorded. Everything is being watched. Everything we all know that how the data is being collected. So the thing is that most important thing is that how we are using any information. That is most important as from my perspective, that whatever information we are getting, be it any data from anyone, how we are using it, what is our intention, what is our motivation. It's not to our motive should not be to harm, as we all know that anything. So we all know that the starting from the nuclear weapon can be used for attack or for defense. So any information that we are gathering from any patient or any clinical data or anything, are we using it for harming or we are using it for benefiting that patient? So that intention, apart from the ethical guidelines or the obviously with this is very much emerging approach, which was very much AI, which was very much buzzword and which was very much hyped and all those. But now today we are understanding that how much it can be helpful or beneficial. Now it is on us, in on everyone to understand that how effectively we are using it to combat the diseases, combat or like the age-related diseases and other pollution-related problems. How we are using those particular data rather to help or benefit any person or improve the lifestyle of a human being. So apart from the government guidelines and institutional guidelines and whatever we have, I think we as a researcher, we should have our personal thing, that what with what aim or motive we are looking onto any perspective of any particular data and how we are using it further. Yeah, so I just wanted to add this point and adding on their perspective, and definitely thank you, Hussein and other organizers and BioX Club and others and all the speakers. Yeah.
So I think
Thank you
I
so
would like
much.
to add. Yes, yes.
Yes, Samrat sir, your like concluding perspective on
So I
this.
would like to add from the medical device perspective. So like Buddhadev mentioned, there are institutional ethics. Apart from that, in case of medical devices, there are a lot of regulations involved. So the medical devices are basically divided into four classes: class A, B, C, D, depending upon how closely your medical device is in coming in contact with the human body. For example, you see stethoscope, it comes in class A because it is not actually coming in direct contact with the human body. Whereas the implants which I work on, they come in the most critical class D, because it directly comes in the contact with the human tissue. So there are a lot of stringent regulations which are associated with it. So before actually we got the permission for implanting our devices into the patient, we had to go through a lot of animal and clinical trials before getting the go ahead from the so we have Indian counterpart of US FDA, that is CDSCO, which regulates the medical device regulations in India. So we had to do a lot of clinical and animal trials before actually getting go ahead from the regulatory bodies. So yeah, that is it. So yes, so I mean, my lab, which I come from, the BETiC lab, probably it is one of the only research lab in India which has got ISO 13485 certifications, which is equivalent to ISO 9000 certification for the quality assessment for the medical devices. So my lab is basically certified for medical device production and implantation. And that's where I would like to conclude. And thank you for inviting me, and thank you for organizing this great session. Thank you to all the speakers for their insightful talk.
We would
Okay.
also like to thank all the speakers for contributing your valuable time to the session and giving so many insights upon the applications of AI specifically within healthcare.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
The session was really insightful, and I hope it really helped the audience to get a introductory view to what kind of AI and how it is used or how to start about in this field. And I would like to thank the audience as well for attending. And thank you so much to all the speakers. And the recording would be shared on the Teams for those who have missed some part or would like to revisit the session again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Shreya
Thank
and
you,
Hussein.
BioX Club.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.